Chris Broussard now joins us live. So we thought if you don't announce it within like a day of being offered something, you're probably going back to your bosses, your wife, your friend, whatever. Are you surprised he turned it down, Brou?
No, not when you see the numbers, 6 years, 70. I said last week, if I'm Dan Hurley, I'm looking at the Lakers like, I want 14, 15 million per year. Now, Monty Williams makes 13, and he's the fourth highest paid coach in the league. And obviously, he's struggling with Detroit. So I think 14 or 15 is justified for like 7 years, 100, which sounds crazy, but 7 years, 100 million gives you the type of security that you would need to coach LeBron and Anthony Davis. They're veterans. They're set in their ways. Hurley wants to come in and say, this is how we're doing it. This is the program, right? They wanted to build something like Boston with Brad Stevens and Oklahoma City with Mark Daigneault and Presti, that they're building a program. And that was the post-LeBron thing, but you got to get him through the LeBron and AD years. So I thought it would have taken something like that. And to be honest, the Lakers should have went there. Now, I know they're not one of the wealthiest ownership groups, but remember, 20 years ago, they offered Coach K $8 million a year, which 20 years ago was more than $11.5 million now. And so I think that's what it would have taken. That's what Hurley would have wanted for the security. And Colin, look, I talked to people, once this broke, I talked to some people around the league that theorized, they were speculating, but they thought, this might be something where Hurley kind of, he's got leverage to get a bigger contract from UConn, and it looks like that's absolutely what's going to happen.
Listen, I said this earlier. Minnesota's got a rising star. Dallas has a star. Sacramento's got a star. Minnesota, Denver, forget the fact the Celtics have two young stars. You start looking around the league, and on any given night, if LeBron or AD don't play, your guy's Austin Reeves as your number one playmaker. I mean, he'll be your number one player. Right. And I look at it and I think, this is not the NFL. It's not baseball. You got a salary cap. It's not the NFL where you can trade anybody almost any time. You got to make salaries match. I think it's a long road out for the Lakers. I don't think they're right around the corner. Do you?
No. I mean, LeBron is still obviously great. AD is a great player, but that'll get you about, middle of the pack as far as playoff teams in the Western Conference. And you're right, Oklahoma City's just going to be better next year. Minnesota's going to be better. Dallas will be better next year. That's not even to mention a few other teams like New Orleans, which is coming up. So it's a tough situation, and that's why if you're Hurley, you would have wanted the security. Look, if it's J.J. Redick or James Borrego or somebody like that, if they go out in the first or second round in the next 2 years, Colin, which is very plausible, right? That might even be generous.
Yeah.
All right? It's a good chance Redick or Borrego might get fired.
Right.
Okay? But if you're Dan Hurley with his cachet, his name, his resume, and if you had that type of contract, you would survive that, and then now it's time for the rebuild, and let's develop this program. So, again, that's why I think that's the type of package it would have taken to get Hurley. And now it's going to be interesting because, there are rumblings that, Anthony Davis has a relationship with Borrego, and that would be his preference. Those are rumblings. There's talk about should they go after Jay Wright, who you talk about the next Pat Riley. He certainly looks the part. So maybe you do that in L.A. But it'll be interesting. And Redick, now Redick went from the number one guy to an afterthought. Is he back to being the number one guy? It's going to be interesting how this plays out.
It's really interesting. It's the Lakers are like the Cowboys. It's viewed as a great job, but if Jerry's controlling things, you have to pay Dak $58 million a year. It ain't a great job. It's a good job, right? Like the brand can't be bigger than your reality. Unlike college, in college you can recruit your back in the transfer portal. You can recruit your way back after one class. You can get 30 guys in, totally rebuild the roster. The Jay Wright rumor came out. We both love Jay. I talked to him recently. Very happy with broadcasting. Really into it. He's a driven guy, but he's not an obsessed guy. He's a family guy.
Yeah.
What do you make of the Jay Wright stuff? What am I supposed to make of that? You're out east. What do you hear?
Well, yeah, that's a great point. And he seems perfectly content with where he's at. And, you get to stay around the game. You're respected. You're making good money, and you don't have the pressure, right? And you talk about pressure. Villanova, it wasn't the same pressure as some other programs, even though he had obviously built them into a powerhouse. The Lakers would be, you're stepping right into the pressure cooker. And I don't know. I doubt that he wants to do that. But if I'm the Lakers, I'm reaching out because I think he could be a great NBA coach and certainly has the resume that can rival Hurley's. And it'd be a good hire, but it might not be the time for him either. Some guys would look at this like, you could look at it, Colin, like Hurley. If he comes in for another NBA job, is it going to be as good as the Lakers?
Yeah. Right?
You said it earlier, strike while the iron is hot. Your next offer could be from Charlotte or some other bad team that's so there was an argument for that, but obviously he's content in Connecticut. I throw this out too, Colin. College men's basketball is not what it used to be. Right? 15 years ago, it was huge. 10 years ago, it was huge. Now it is not that big anymore. It doesn't capture the public's imagination the way it used to. I thought that also could play into Hurley going to the Lakers, but obviously he chose to stay put.
Hey, one other thought. I want to talk Celtics for a second. So Jaylen Brown won the Eastern Conference Final MVP. He could win the Final MVP. Tatum's doing a lot, but he's not shooting well. And it's sort of, there's always been this kind of soft tribal feeling on him. The people who like him love him. The people like me who like him think there are reservations. I think Jaylen's more alpha, more aggressive. You hear him talking during the timeouts. I feel like Jaylen's the leader, but I do think Tatum's more naturally gifted. But Jaylen's more the verbal guy, the aggressive guy. What do you make of his finals? Like Jayson Tatum's finals. Do you think less? What do you make of what you've seen?
I respect him because he's not letting his shot, the fact that he's struggling with his shot, ruin him. A lot of big scores, Kyrie's struggling with his shot. He's not doing much else. He can't. Kyrie's not a great defender or big enough to rebound. But Tatum's rebounding, leading in assists, 8.5 a game, obviously shooting poorly. But I love the fact that he's like, I'm not going to let my shot ruin my game. It's about the team. Let's go out and get the W. So I've gained respect for him in that regard. And I still think he's their best player. Leads them, even these playoffs where he hasn't shot well, Colin, leading them in points, rebounds, and assists per game. Has led them in scoring the last 5 years and led them in points and rebounds the last 2 years. Now, he might not be their leader, as you said, with Jaylen. He might not be their most clutch guy. In fact, statistically, we know he isn't. But as far as their overall best player, I still would give him that, but I think it's closer than we thought between him and Jaylen.
Good stuff. Brou stopped by. He's always willing to just put that tie on. He always this is what Broussard looks like when he goes to breakfast on Saturday morning. He is a well-dressed man. You know how much I love you, Brou. Appreciate you stopping by late notice.
All right, Colin. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.